The station is bleak, gray, like hope died and crawled into this hole to bleed out in misery. Is it really like that? Or is that just how I see everything now? No matter. A job well done at the end of the day. I've got my pay, and my client has their corpse. Orion thought. The train pulls in like a wounded rat, dirty as hell, looking like somebody whacked it with a broom. Everyone who's lived here for a while calls it the cheap train. When they need to get home without a hole in their wallet, that's your choice when you live in Chirpy Hills. A posh, expensive train, or the good old 301. He starts to think again. I know I'm uninjured, but my legs are so heavy. It feels like it dragged them along the cluttered, grimy ground of the train station. I thought I had just barely made it onto the 301. That wasn't the company's name for it, that's just what everybody called it, for a reason I didn't care enough to find out. Apparently, I was the first one on the train. It didn't feel like it. It's Saturday, so of course the whole train is going to be full of other things that resemble my figure. I got into the train. Henry Harrington wants to do another weird experiment in that dusty old field. If I'm not there, I might not have a best friend the next day. God knows what he's up to this time. Orion's thoughts are stopped. There are so many, no, way too many people on here. An old man is coughing on the other side of the train car. Surely there's one empty car where Orion can sit by himself. He walks along the little spaces, hoping to find an unoccupied place. Just a second of peace from all the other creatures who decided to make this air unbreathable. Finally, just one empty car, completely silent. Orion sits down with a sigh of relief. A smile? No. Perhaps just relaxation. A long moment of well-appreciated silence goes by, interrupted by the cheap train's little rumbles here and there. The noise of someone approaching the car on the left. The tinted window makes it hard to see. Orion goes on guard. For some reason he can't shake. It feels like an enemy is moving in. A figure stops at the door. An attack? Maybe he's getting ready to shoot. The figure bends down. Are they going to unlink the car completely? Says a girl behind the door, waving with one hand, the other occupied by a pudgy pink bag. Orion's alarmed expression quickly drops and goes into a frown of pure annoyance. It's Lisa. Of course it is. Why wouldn't it be? I'm in perfect silence, and of course she has to be here. Orion takes a little embarrassing pause. He hadn't realized, but he'd said the whole thing out loud. Lisa waves through the tinted window and says,
Hi. Can you open the door? I can't get it.
Lisa said in a friendly tone. Orion gets up from his peaceful seat and walks to the door. He slides it open. You know, Orion started as Lisa was realizing it was him. It's not locked. You'd have to put this in. As Orion points to the latch in the door. Lisa blinks at him awkwardly. They stand there in silence for a little bit. Hi, Lisa says awkwardly. Orion sighs quickly and turns back to sit in his seat. You can imagine it's a little awkward to see your mortal enemy after just having gone on a date. For context, Lisa is a superhero named Lightheart. Orion is a villain named Corrupt. And Lisa had just forced Orion to go on a date through something that cannot be described as anything else other than blackmail. Lisa described it as getting blackmailed cutely. Orion is still confused about why she wanted to and went so far as to actually blackmail him into doing it. Pure confusion. Orion thought, I'd have an easier time getting 100% on an algebra test. No tutors, no studying with Henry, no prep time at all. In fact, Orion might have preferred doing that instead. Although it's hard to say. He didn't seem to hate hanging out with me, Lisa thought. which could prove true. Orion probably wouldn't admit it, but it wasn't like hell. It was still fun, although his mentality was more like free dinner other than night out. Back to the present, Lisa wanted to talk to him again, but his facial expression made it clear he wanted nothing to do with her. They sat on opposite sides of the train car and ignored each other. Cheap Train makes a stop to pick up a loud group of passengers. Now Orion's empty cart is filled with pigs. She really wanted nothing more than to tell him how she felt. It seemed so stupid to Lisa, like love from a movie that nobody wanted to see but her. As much as she wanted him to give her a chance, she knew it was extremely unrealistic. Lisa almost saw him like an old beaten-up teddy bear, stuffing ripped out by dogs, thrown outside by parents from the smell, one of its button eyes torn out by another kid. Lisa was quite like a clueless child obsessed with her favorite toy, and couldn't imagine trading it in, not even for a better one that's easier to play with. The train speakers blare with the noise of the conductor's message.
Alright, folks, we're going over those old tracks again. I'm gonna need y'all to stay in your seats until Uncle Sam can fix them up.
An old lady and her grandson, looking to be about 4, they stand together. They're not able to sit because of the full train. Lisa notices them and offers the elderly lady her seat. The woman responds, "I'll take your seat, but not because I'm old. Now move over, let me sit," she said rudely. Lisa gave her a polite smile and gave her the seat. Now Lisa stands by herself and her bag. The old woman lectures the child for not holding her purse, making quite a lot of noise. As she yells at the kid, Lisa frowns and started to speak up to the ornery lady, but before she could, she hears, "Excuse me, sir," Orion said to the child. "Are you talking to me?" The small boy gaped in wonder of being called sir. "Yeah, why don't you take my seat? I don't need it," Orion said as he stood up. The boy yelled thank you as he ran to get away from the uncaring old lady. Now Lisa and Orion stand next to each other, staring in confusion. "Why'd you do that?" Lisa said, unintentionally tilting her head. "He's got stupid parents who don't care about him. Or stupid grandma. I don't know. I don't like people who can treat their kids like that," he said, almost like he was speaking from experience. Lisa picked up on the sense of familiarity in his tone and avoided eye contact. "Why did you?" Orion said. "Why wouldn't I? She needed a seat," Lisa responded. "She was super rude to you, you know. I wouldn't have let her have my seat after that." "Well, maybe you're right," she replied with a little gloomy pause. "But maybe you're wrong." Orion let himself chuckle a little in response. He turned to her and started to apologize, but was interrupted by his flip phone. Lisa didn't notice the intended apology. She only saw the working phone. Lisa was shocked. "How the heck is your phone working way out here on the train?" Orion opened the phone and replied, "It kind of helps when the person who's calling you is a genius," he remarked sarcastically, as Henry was only a self-proclaimed genius.
Where are you, dude?
Henry shouted into Orion's ear. "On the way, Henry. You really didn't have to call."
What if you got lost? You know you're terrible with directions. Remember that trip to Texas?
Yeah. I know, man. Lisa turned the other way, disappointed. She thought they could talk to each other. She could apologize for forcing Orion into a date. As the boys continued their conversation, the train rumbled around. Lisa wasn't paying attention. She was daydreaming about apologizing, just spaced out. Orion side-eyes her as she ignores her surroundings. Orion leans to Lisa's side and hovers his arm around her, thinking she might fall while spaced out. The train bumps, swaying Lisa around like she's not even conscious.
I got this old car from the junkyard. They were just gonna throw it out. If they're gonna destroy this thing, then it should be with a little fun.
Henry explained to Orion. "You're bringing me out here to blow something up?" Orion exclaimed with concern just as much as anger due to Henry's chaotic logic. I got off work early for this crap. Are you serious?
Oh, come on! You really don't want to come explode a car with me?
Well, sure, if it's legal.
Since when are you worried about legal?
The train pulls up into the station, out in the middle of nowhere. As it slows to a stop, the other passengers gather to exit the train. As it slows to a stop, a few other passengers gather to exit the train. Lisa notices everyone moving around. She looks at Orion arguing on the phone and glances outside, wondering if he's getting out here. When suddenly a shiver runs down her spine. Her pupils shrink. She scrunches her shoulders to her neck. Why is he putting his hand so close to me? She thought panically. Not knowing where to look, Lisa's eyes dot around everywhere. In a state of panic, Lisa freezes. Orion was still talking to Henry, so he didn't notice. Henry stood at the station waiting for Orion. He walked back and forth, searching the windows for his best friend. Henry spots a man with Orion's hair and outfit, but unsure if it's him due to the lovely lady he's holding on to. Henry squints and asks Orion,
Hey, are you by yourself?
Yeah, I'm by myself. I don't even hang out with anyone but you, Henry. Even with Orion's answer, Henry knew it was him, standing there. Henry smirks and strides up to the train window. He knocks on the window and says mockingly,
Well, I don't know, Orion. Looks like you guys are pretty comfortable in there.
Orion whips his head around to see his friend waving to him with a cheeky smile. Lisa looks as well, wondering what he was looking at. Orion's face turns red. He shuts the flip phone and stops off the train, not saying goodbye to Lisa. He walks up to Henry and gives him a shove.
Hey!
Henry cried with a laugh.
Who's your girl?
She is not my girl. Orion replied with spite, but still humiliated. The train picks up and slides out of the station. Lisa gazes out the window, wanting to say farewell. She straightens her back and takes a deep breath. Lisa squeezes through the crowd to get through the back of the train. A little anxiety sets in, the sinking feeling of not making it out in time. She ducks and leans through the train's crowd. Every time it feels like it's just a little further, there's another car to get through. Maybe it's best to give up? Should she have stuck her head out a window? No matter anyway. Orion probably wouldn't have waved back anyway. It's so close though. Just a little more. Lisa explodes out of the train door with determination. Back of the train. No. It's too late. He's too far. He won't hear her. Lisa starts to sadden, but for some reason, she holds her head high. She takes a deep breath and shouts as loud as she can. Orion! Orion heard it, loud and clear.
Do you want to hang out again?
Lisa asked desperately with everything she had. Orion blinked and stood in awe and silence. Henry leaned forward to check his expression. Henry's worried frown quickly turned into a big, glad smile. Henry ran forward and yells back for his quiet colleague.
He does!
Lisa smiles in relief. Felt like she'd finally gotten fresh air for the first time in her life. Lisa hops up and down uncontrollably and waves to Orion, her arm fully out, flailing widely. He stood still. Not in confusion, just raw amazement. Henry hit him in his shoulder.
Hey, wait to her, idiot!
Orion puts his hand up slightly and does a small wave.
She's never gonna see that!
Henry exclaimed, grabbing his arm, forcing him to make a proper wave. Orion started to protest, but gave up, knowing Henry wouldn't stop waving for him. As the train trails into the far distance, Lisa departs out of view. Henry faces Orion with a big grin on his proud face. Orion glances at him for a second, then starts walking off.
Oh, come on!
Henry complains.
We're not gonna talk about it?
No. And with that, that is the end of this short story. If you guys enjoyed this and would like to see more, please let me know. Have a good day, and thank you for your time.